Yeah.
They put a lot, I mean, if you're just talking about the fun, we all right, but not if they get carried away. Well, that could be. I know it looks, yeah.
All right, we are live. We are recording,
It's just some of them things.
Yeah.
and my phone says 7:29, so we'll get started in just 1 minute. Oh, it just flipped to 7:30, so we will call this October 11th meeting to order. Tonight with our Father. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll call.
Cosgray,
He will be absent.
Foreman,
Present.
Hamilton,
Present.
Hankinson,
Present.
Keller,
Present.
McCreary.
Present.
All right, we got 5, we got a quorum, we can have a meeting. First item is approval of the September 27th meeting minutes.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve those. I read it twice. Sounds about right to me from what I can remember.
All right,
Second.
any discussion on the minutes? Roll call.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
All right, minutes will be approved as written. Approval of the agenda. I don't have any real amendments tonight, so is there a motion?
Make a motion.
We need a sponsor for the first ordinance.
We do, and we have that happen all the time. And I asked Jeff if we actually have to amend the agenda to identify a sponsor, and he said no.
Okay, we've been doing it wrong all this.
Well, no, it's okay to do it that way, but it's not, you don't have to.
Okay.
So you can name a sponsor when it comes up for a reading. So
I'd like to make a motion that we not approve the agenda as presented.
Okay.
So I need to further
You don't have to. There's a motion. I just gonna, if,
to not approve it and not. Okay, I'll expand on that. To not approve it with these 2 ordinances up for a 3rd reading, having not had a public meeting.
We can't pass it tonight.
yeah, they can't
I
be passed
understand
tonight.
that. I guess I don't even feel like they should be to this point, having not even had a public meeting.
Well, they
Have
have,
we scheduled a public meeting yet?
yes. So they have to be tabled and they have to be on the agenda in order to be tabled. It's pending legislation. We can't remove it from the agenda without,
So
Doing
tonight
something.
they will need to be tabled?
yeah,
Yes.
they have to be. There hasn't been
And they
any
will
public.
not, neither will be able to be passed prior to the public meeting.
correct.
I'll withdraw my motion.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as of tonight as written.
All right.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion on the agenda? If not, roll call.
Foreman,
No.
did you say no?
Yes, it is.
Hamilton, Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
All right. Agenda is approved. Visitors, Debbie, got anything?
No, sir.
All right. And we will move on to administration reports. My report, I met with Representative Tim Ryan last Thursday here in the office. He's also current representative in Congress from up in the Youngstown area. He is running for U.S. Senate. He had an event in the Opera House afterwards, meet and greet with some people. But we sat down here and talked probably 45 minutes or so, half hour, 45 minutes about infrastructure, water, our particular issues and stuff like that. Again, he was familiarizing himself with it. He asked a lot of good questions about what we need and what some of the issue is, and just recap some of that. So, it was a good meeting. And as I look forward to, if he is elected, he gave me his personal cell phone number before he walked out the door. So if he is elected, I can get a hold of him without going through the office. Yes, until he changes. Until he says, let me block Brad. Yeah.
Here's your government authorized phone.
Yes, there is always that option. But no, it was a good meeting. Like I said, anybody that is in a position to potentially help us at the state or federal level, if they will come and spend some time with me talking about the issues, I will talk with them. Hopefully he learned something, and if elected, hopefully be able to call him up and say, hey, how about some additional water funding in these infrastructure bills? So outside of that, it's been a lot of me and Terry working, so I'm going to let Terry give her report. I noticed down here on new business is trick or treat date. Trick or treat is October 28th. It's Thursday before, from 6 to 7:30. We follow, at the chief's request, we follow Lancaster so that Lancaster residents don't come here. There was a problem one year. Lancaster follows Morpsey, so by default we follow Morpsey, and that is their date for this year. So October 28th, 6 to 6:30. And last year it started to rain and the weather got bad, and it's not something that's easily changed. So if the weather gets bad, parents, use your discretion. You're the parent. October 28th is
You're not
trick or treat.
required to cancel just because the weather went south.
Exactly. So, like I said, short of that, it's been a lot of looking at the budget, talking with Terry. So I will flip it over to her unless anybody has questions for me on my meeting with
4 to 6:30.
6 to 7:30.
Oh, 6 to 7. Well, I already messed that up. God, I would have missed it. My candy drive.
Though,
Be careful.
now that you say it, it might be something to bring. I might be something for me to bring up at Morpsey, because it starts to get dark at the end of it, and it is a potential danger. I know the fire department hands out the glow sticks, but a lot of parents work, but 5:30 might be a better time, a little bit earlier. I'll bring that up next time. So, anything else? If not, Terry?
It's not set in iron right now.
What?
So it's not set
No,
in
it
iron.
is.
This year's is.
This year's is. I'm
Okay.
saying for future years, it might be something to bring up for me to discuss, because there is a safety concern as it gets
It's usually
dark.
dark by the time.
Oh, yeah. So,
Well, look, it's dark right now, 7:35.
yeah.
So
Yep. So, all right, Terry.
Thanks, Mayor. First, I want to talk about the conference that I was at last week. It was very good. It's my first virtual conference, so it was a little unusual that we had certain sessions we could go to, but we also could pick and choose our sessions. I have a couple of takeaways. One of the biggest ones, I think maybe Debbie will appreciate, and probably Brand, you'll say, where were you at on this, Terry? But one of the things that we talked about is in one of the sessions was about ethics and for the staff that reports to me, to council, to the mayor, to et cetera. And one of the ways around, one of the things that came up during that session was that a lot of times people just don't know. And people don't know, especially if you don't have what we call a new book for a council. So one of the things that I want to try to work on before the end of the year, and I probably will use Brandy as my bounce off on the material, is to put together a council book for new new council people or for old ones, if they want to read it also. And it'll have everything that the state outlines as far as training and et cetera. So it's going to take a little work, but again, I have Barb, and Barb and I will be working on this. So Barb's just finding out now by listening to the recording, but that's our new project. So I think it'll be a good asset for the village to have. It helps us also to look at each one of our processes, see if they need to have some changes. So more to come on that. At the conference, we talked a lot about the ARP money and et cetera, and what everybody was doing and how they were going to use it. There were some creative ideas as far as the first round of the ARP money. And because this last round or this first tranche, we can't use for anything but infrastructure. But if you remember, I guess I wouldn't call it the first COVID funds we got, we were able to give to other agencies, and some of the villages and towns and cities that were there were talking about a program that they set up for their businesses. So while we don't have that money available now to be able to do that, I think it would be a nice project for us to work on, maybe jointly with CDBG, or not CDBG, the Opera House and Steve, sorry. But that maybe we can incorporate, you know, some way of helping our businesses in town, because I am sure they're struggling like all the rest of them. So more to come on that. I'll get some more information from a couple of cities, and then we'll go forth. Talk about this, about the ARPA rescue plan money. I got notification today that Fairfield County has hired Hicks Partners, and they will be writing grants on behalf of the townships and the villages located in Fairfield County based on the feedback that they receive. So in other words, the second tranche of money that the county is getting, they're going to be, you have to apply for a grant for it. And this is who we will be applying through. I have not worked with Hicks Brothers in the past, but we have a meeting set up for Tuesday, October 26th, and they'll be giving us the guidelines and what they're looking for from us. So more to come on that. Again, it's called the Grant Writing Services for the Fairfield County Township and Villages. The other thing wanted to talk about is that we had the PEP risk adjuster was in and did an audit on the playgrounds and et cetera. Every 2 years they do this. We had an extensive audit of items that need to be addressed. And once again, to the mayor's dismay, they called out the slide. So we're probably going to have to decide, what are we going to do with that slide? Are we going to continue just to move and address everything else? Or what, you know, what we're going to do? You know, we just recently purchased new swings, and now we're going to have to move some of those swings because they're too close together. So there's a whole to-do list that I have given Tim to work on this week or next. When I talk about parks, I also wanted to bring up the fact that we are really having a lot of vandalism at Boswell Park. I don't know what we can do about it. We've talked about getting cameras out there or doing something. We had to remove a picnic table, which they had used for obscenities and et cetera, and refinish it and move it out of the area. I don't know if it's a gathering place or what's going on, but it seems to me like somebody around there would be calling the police if they see all of this happening. They have broken one of our new pieces of equipment that is not even fixable. We're just going to have to remove the base from there. So I'm not sure why there's so much vandalism going on right now in Boswell Park, but there seems to be. The other thing about parks is I met with Casey Farmer on Friday. Casey has an opportunity that we're going to present to the Park and Recreation Board to get an AED for Alt Park, since there are so many people that are out there. Sometimes, I would say hundreds of people, depending on whether they're having a tournament or not. He believes that he can get us an AED to install out there through a grant. So I'm going to work with him on that and work through the Parks Committee, and we'll present that to them at the next meeting. In water, the lead and copper consumer notices were completed and sent out. This is a big project that Joey does every year. Not only does he have to do testing, but he has to do communications and letters and et cetera. So that was completed. He's still working on the hydrant survey with Ohio Rural Water. They had to take off a week because they had someplace else they had to go for an emergency. So they'll be back. We'll continue that survey until we've hit all of the hydrants in town. At the wastewater plant, we're still pumping sludge into a bag. Jason and I had a conversation last Monday or Tuesday, and we talked about our vendors. Currently, we have a vendor called AgriSludge that does our hauling. And I have not been happy with the kind of customer service we get with them or their price. And Jason has a sludge hauler who does theirs in Fairfield Utilities, who will come in, do the same amount of work, same job as AgriSludge, and at a lower price. So I'm going to work with Brian on getting them set up as a vendor, and I'll probably be switching out. Most important to a lot of people, leaf collection will begin October 18th through the 30th and go to November 30th. I put a notice on the water bills because you well, not even a month ago, we passed legislation about not putting stuff in the street. I have gotten a couple of calls and talked through a couple of their concerns. So for someone that has a real concern that says, I don't have any place but the street to put them, I have one lined up to go make a visit to see if I can help her decide where to put her leaves. So we do want to keep the leaves out of the street, just like the ordinance said. And I believe that brings me to my final thing, and that's the legislation that Jeff will talk more about for OPWC water loop project, which we did receive a bid on. Thank you very much. And can get started as soon as we get legislation turned around. So that's my report, unless you have something else for me.
Terry, I got a quick question. The parking ballards, blocks, stops on, I guess that'd be Coomler by the football field.
Yes.
Did we put those in or did the school?
The school put those in. And so I brought it to the attention
Well,
of, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I brought it to their attention that was not going to work for us because we couldn't get our snow plows down there to plow. The response was, well, you don't plow this anyhow, we plow it. So that's kind of where we left it until the first snow.
Well, I guess my initial response to that then is they can pave it as well. And so I'd walked by them, and what started is I'd walked by them a couple of times, and it bothered me the first couple of times. And then as I've walked by them more, they're in at such a weird angle.
Mm-hmm.
It's an odd angle and it seems tight, and I'm not sure it's appropriate.
Okay.
I mean, it seems like they tried to pack as many in there.
That's probably a true statement.
But if they want to take the position that they plow it, then they can pave it, and we'll have Jeff write up the agreement that if they're going to plow it, they can pave it and they're responsible for the road. So I guess I guess unless council has a different opinion, my direction.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I leave that open to council, but I did chase that down when I saw it. We did have conversations about it.
Yeah, I guess my thought would be call what's his name tomorrow and say, Mayor said, then if you're going to plow it, then you can pave it and it's your road. We'll have the agreement drawn up. Or do you want to talk to us about your parking ballards?
But is that council's wishes?
I don't have no problem giving it to the school, you know.
Definitely present that option.
Is it dedicated as a
I was gonna say,
village?
it sounds a little extreme to me.
Well, it's
Gotta
a
get the point
dedicated village
across.
road, but I mean, that's the point is hey, we want to talk to you about you putting in these parking blocks that you didn't have permission for on our road. And if your response is, it's our road because we plow it, then fine. Yeah.
I believe some of that,
I'm pretty sure once Terry would call and say, well, if you're going to plow it and it's your road, you can pave it and we'll have the agreement drawn up so you can pave it next year. Then they will talk to us about their parking ballards and fix them.
Don't count on it.
Well, I'm fine with that, but I would have to look at it first, a little bit closer before. I thought it was a good move.
Oh, I don't think we would actually wouldn't vacate the road and
I
give
was
it to
gonna say,
them.
I'm pretty sure they just close off traffic to it if they wanted to. We're gonna
Yeah.
give it to them.
Yeah, it's
And
not
I'm
one of those
sure
things that
You
is,
wanna actually play that card because they might call your bluff.
well, and if they want to call the bluff, they can. Because we can also just go in and rip them out. I mean, that's the alternative too, if they don't want to,
Doubt they would want to spend the money on paving back.
Right. And I'm getting tired of, hey, we're going to do this because we can. It's our road. There's nothing that stops Terry from telling Tim to go in tomorrow and rip them all out as well.
I understand.
So maybe that's a better option than,
Well,
if you don't want to talk to us, we'll just come in and rip them out. As opposed to we'll give you the road.
And store them at the utility barn.
Yeah.
I mean, present them with option A, B, and C. Here are your options.
All I wanted to do was have a discussion about,
Yeah,
they're in at a weird angle and how does it affect snow plowing?
We
We're
just
discussing
speak
this
with
before we
Terry.
do this.
Exactly.
That's-
Why would they still,
I think
unless
the
they
way we
go
should
back
approach
to
it
that
now.
building? That's the only reason, 'cause don't they have to go down that street, go to that back building back there they just built?
Right. And I would be willing to bet, I don't know the guys' snow plow schedule and how they do the streets, but I would be willing to bet when it snows that the school probably has the plow on their truck and is able to do that quicker than our guys because they're working on other roads first before they get to it.
And they just want it over.
That back one-way street.
Yes.
And they probably drive
It's a back
there.
one-way street, so it would not have priority.
So anyway, I was bringing it up for was I thought they were in at a weird angle and I wanted to know what type of parking issues it would cause and if it was going to cause any snowplow issues, but
At the home game Friday night.
Right, and it is going to be packed. Friday.
Yeah.
We won't have any snow to deal with.
No, but
Yeah.
to see how they're
Parking
parked.
area
Yeah, exactly.
On village street
Yeah,
right
it's
away.
public. street.
yeah.
The
They're
whole
only
thing is
actually
public.
on the street right away.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
They put parking blocks on a public street.
Right.
Without talking to us.
And they're at different angles. Like as you stand there and look, this one will be at this angle and this one's at this angle, and then they flip angles and
I thought they looked consistent. They seem
And
sharper than normal, but.
they are
seem
sharper
consistent.
than normal. And they, to me, there, of course, there's no lines painted, and I don't know how half of the trucks in this village will fit in one of those spots with as narrow as they seem to be.
Well, then maybe in the future, we'll have an ordinance that's like we have parking up on Boswell Street. They would have to have an ordinance for parking spacing down there. If it's on street right away.
Well, let's start with the fact that the school put parking on the public street. Yeah,
Now, we did allow them to have parking down there. That's why we closed it off.
we allow them to have parking. We don't allow them to put up parking ballards.
Right. Well,
And it's gonna get worse because they're gonna make that track an 8-lane track. So they're planning on really improving more people be there.
Yep.
Where they gonna park them?
I don't
That's
know.
been the problem.
Sounds like a good topic for service to look into.
Yeah.
More details.
So Terry, let's add this to service and maybe you can make a call to the school to say, hey, you guys might want to talk with us and work with us more than just do it.
Gotcha.
All right. That was the only thing I had for Terry.
Thanks.
Anybody else? All right. Brian, you got anything?
No, I haven't been recovering from COVID the past 2 weeks and I don't have anything.
Okay.
Well, I do. Hey, Brian, since we didn't have finance tonight, can we just wait the next month and,
Yeah, because I haven't even closed out September yet, Chuck.
okay, I didn't know if something had to come up or not. Okay,
No, I haven't even closed September out yet.
Okay, that's all. That's
Running around meetings here?
Yeah.
Feels like last year.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, got anything for us?
Just a couple things. The new ordinance on for first reading, 2021-28, needs a sponsor, number one. Does need a motion to bypass committee because it hasn't been through committee. And Terry is requesting that this be considered for passage tonight. So you'll need a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule after you bypass committee, and then a motion to amend. The contractor is BK Layer LLC. They're recommended by the village engineer. And at a contract price, total price not to exceed $169,700. The village's local share of that is $85,584, which according to Brian, the money has been set aside for this project. And that's it on that one. And then as was discussed earlier, the 2 ordinances that are on for a 3rd reading, 2021-24 and 2021-25, both need to be tabled this evening because the public hearing hasn't yet taken place on that. And according to our zoning code, a public hearing is required before those ordinances can be considered for a 3rd and final reading. Once they're tabled, they can, according to our council rules, they can stay tabled up to a year. And that's all I have.
All right. Move on to council committee reports. Finance, as was just discussed, was canceled tonight. Service Wade is out and hasn't met since the last meeting. Safety hasn't met since the last meeting, which gets us to rules, which met tonight.
We just met tonight. Everybody is up to date on everything since everyone was here, and that our next meeting will be November the 8th.
I will add real quick that out of rules, Jeff will have a couple of ordinances to come to you.
Okay.
One is to amend the pay plan to increase the maximums by 25% for this year, and then add a 3% annual increase to the maximums. And another is to increase employee wages based on receiving certain licenses. It would be an increase of $1 an hour if a person has a CDL license, $1 an hour if they get a spraying license, and $3 an hour per license for each the water treatment plant and the wastewater plant. Water plant up to a class 2 license, and wastewater plant up to a class 3. And it's $3 per license. So a water operator 1 would get $3, and if they get a 2, they get another $3, and so forth. And so those both came out of rules tonight. No emergency language. Well, no, we don't need emergency language. They'll all have 3 readings and can pass, and the maximum 1 doesn't matter. So, well, it does, but it'll pass by the end of the year. So. All right. All right. Did I get that all right, guys? All right. Moving on then, Chief is not here, so we will go to Fire District.
Our next meeting is 21st. Yeah, 6:30 down station, 6:10.
All right. Moving on, village committees and commissions, planning and zoning. We haven't met since our last meeting. We would normally meet this Thursday. However, due to the fair and the number of people on the committee that like to go to the fair and are involved there, that meeting has been set for next Thursday instead. So, and we will just keep discussing through on some of the topics that I talked about last time that are on the list to discuss and see what we want to do with. Tree Commission.
Thanks, Mayor. We have a meeting this week, and at this meeting, we'll be talking about the fall planting, and also it's time to submit for Tree USA awards. So again, that's Thursday night, 5:30.
Records Commission has nothing. Brian's been out. So we will move on. Anybody have any motions? Hearing none. Ordinances and resolutions, first reading. Ordinance 2021-28, an ordinance authorizing the village administrator to enter into a contract with BK Layer LLC for the Fremont, Coomer, and Brown Street Waterline Improvements Project and the declaration of emergency. This ordinance does need a sponsor.
I'll make that. I mean, you probably should have come out of service, but I'll sponsor it.
All right,
At this time, Mayor, I'll make a motion that we bypass the bypass committee.
Second.
all right, discussion. Roll call.
Who seconded it? I didn't hear.
Hankinson.
Okay, let's see, Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Geller,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Okay, Mayor, I move that we bypass the 3 reading.
Second by Hankerson.
All right, discussion. Roll call.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
All right,
Mayor, I move that we adopt ordinance 2021-28.
Second by Hankerson.
all right. Discussion on this. Roll call.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
All right, 2021-28 will be adopted.
Thank you. I'd like to get started as soon as possible.
All right, moving on. Second readings, ordinance 2021-27, an ordinance rescinding ordinance 2014-32, an ordinance amending the traffic control map to convert Canal Street to a one-way street running east from High Street to Basel. Sponsor is Hankinson.
Yes, we just let it go second reading. We'll be discussing this at safety before the last reading.
And this is to remove the one-way on
Correct.
Canal. Yep. All right. So it will be on for a third reading. When is our next meeting? 25th. To be discussed at safety beforehand as well. All right, third readings, ordinance 2021-24, an ordinance to amend certain portions of Part 12 Planning and Zoning Code of the Baltimore Codified Ordinances to provide for maximum lot coverages. Sponsor is McCreary.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to move that we take ordinance 2021-24 and move it to be tabled as we have a public hearing that has been set for November 15th.
All right,
Second.
second, no discussion on tabling. Roll call.
Foreman,
No.
Hamilton, Hamilton,
I'm thinking about something, just a minute.
I'll come back to you. Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
okay, Hamilton,
No.
All right.
3-2.
Does that make it pass?
No.
No?
What are our options here?
Well,
Discussion?
you can discuss it. It can't be passed this evening. That's the bottom line. So,
So does it technically just stay on the agenda then?
yeah, I mean, there's nothing else it can't be passed. So it would just stay on the agenda. So,
Until we have more people in attendance.
Or until it gets tabled at the next hearing
Okay.
or, so it stays active?
yeah, I mean, there's the only thing that can happen to it. So,
All right.
Well, now,
Well, it didn't get
It can't-
tabled, so it's
So
the
now
third
it's
reading.
so
We
now
can,
it's
we
the
can,
third
we can
reading.
pass it tonight.
Or we could defeat it.
Well, we
tonight.
can't because it hadn't had a
We could
hearing.
defeat it tonight, but we couldn't pass it
We
tonight.
can't pass it.
you
yet.
can't pass it tonight. You
No,
can't
we
pass it
could-
because it hasn't
Yeah.
gone, you haven't had a public hearing.
But it's classified as a third reading.
Can it be defeated tonight?
No, because you can't make a motion to adopt on it, can you, without violating the rules?
No.
Still has to go to public hearing.
Yeah, it still has to go to the
Yeah.
public hearing.
Yeah, there can't be a motion to adopt it.
No.
Because you haven't had a,
Public hearing.
I haven't had a public hearing on it.
So are all council members required to attend the public hearing?
No.
Or any council member? I mean, none of them need to be there.
Yeah,
No,
yes.
hearing, we're supposed to
But
be
you
here.
don't have to be. Because there were public meetings on both of these and we had good attendance and there wasn't any support, yet here they are.
Mhm.
And so that's my concern, is there, we had public meetings on both of these. We had very good attendance. There was not public support, yet here they are.
Well,
And the
That's-
council wasn't there, so council doesn't know
I was
that.
there.
She was, I
Thank
was, the rest of council was not.
But a committee passed them out.
Right, that was part of the planning and zoning process
So
that
let's
has
say
to
we have
do.
a public meeting and a large number of the public turns out not in support of these. These can still pass in a lame duck council with absolutely zero support from the community, is
Well,
what I'm hearing.
what I would say is I don't know that it would be zero support. What I would say is it would be people, and with any legislation, you're going to have people for and against it. It's just who shows up. But using your same argument then, does that mean that you will sponsor my rental registry ordinance because there was support for that at that public hearing?
Well, on this one in particular,
Well, I'm using the example. You said people showed up and they were against this ordinance. And so therefore we should defeat it.
No,
But those,
you
well, let me
said
finish.
go ahead.
But then they said they would be in support of a rental registry because our problem is the number of renters and they are a lot of our code issues. And that they would, why don't we start there, I believe was the quote from one of them. Why are we picking on short terms and not the long-term renters? And so if we're supposed to say, well, those few that showed up are against this, so we shouldn't pass that. On the contrary, those that showed up also said we should pass a rental registry for the long-term rentals. So I would trust that you would want to support that one.
We jumped ordinances here.
Yeah. we're
Oh, yeah.
on the-
Sorry.
Where did the lock go?
This is not
Completely
covered.
jumped ordinances.
Same thing though. The same discussion is going to apply to 2021-25.
So, the ordinance that we're discussing now, I have an issue with confiscating 60 to 70% of everyone's
Well-
property and basically rendering it useless. All you get to do is mow it and pay taxes on it. This doesn't
Well-
affect half the village because half the village are rentals, so they don't
Mhm.
care. So of the remaining half,
Well-
this doesn't affect half of that remaining half because they likely live paycheck to paycheck and live here for the low cost of living. So this really only affects high incomes, young families who want to put on a room addition,
Well-
pave their driveway, add a 2-car garage, put in a pool. The person who parks on the street and has no off-street parking and lives in a little 1,000 square foot ranch house, he's unaffected by this.
Well, but
So the people who really want to make a nice property in town are the only ones affected by this. And it's a small number of the total number of residents. So are you going to pack a public meeting with people opposed to this? No, because 3/4 of them are unaffected. But the people who are affected are going to go to Terry and want to build a room addition and put a turnaround on their driveway and install a pool, and she's going to say, well, you can't do that. And they're going to say, well, honey, I guess we're moving to Thornville. We're going to take our high income and we're going to go someplace where we can have the house we want. Where this is basically penalizing the exact people we need more of.
Well-
That's my problem with it. And when it comes to this particular ordinance, there were people who showed up at the public meeting who were against it. And I don't recall any of them being for it. They were more like willing to negotiate percentages as though this is for some reason necessary, when in fact it is not.
well, by that analogy though, most of our zoning code wouldn't apply to people that are rentals because it only affects the owners. So I think there's your argument lacks some basis in reality there, because if we're going to say this doesn't apply because 50% of rentals, then most of our zoning code shouldn't apply.
But as
So we got a
renters-
zoning code.
as
So
rental residents, they don't care.
the issue right now is it hasn't been tabled, but it can't be adopted, so it remains active until there is a public hearing on it. And the public hearing is November 15th.
I think the cleanest way to address it, folks, is to table the ordinance. I mean, and you can always renew a motion to table it and take a vote on it. But I honestly
And it
think
can be
that's
tabled for a year.
Since we've discussed it, I'm willing to go back and change my vote on table.
okay.
So that
you-
sounds
you'll
like
need
a
new motion.
New motion or just a motion to reconsider?
Well, you can do either one. So
Let's just do a new motion. New
Okay.
motion to table.
Mayor, I would like to make a new motion to table ordinance 2021-24, as we have a public hearing set for November 15th to discuss this particular ordinance.
All right.
Second again.
All right. No discussion on tabling. Maybe we should talk to Robert's rules about revising that rule. And roll call.
Okay, Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Curry.
Yes,
All right. 2021-24 will be tabled. Moving on, 2021-25. An ordinance to amend certain portions of Part 12, Planning and Zoning Code of the Baltimore Codified Ordinances to provide for the registration of short-term rental properties. Sponsor McCreary.
yes, Mayor, I would also like to move that we table ordinance 2021-25, as again, we have scheduled a public hearing for November 15th.
I would question the wisdom of having both of those public meetings on the same night, because just as happened here tonight, people stand up and speak to one or the other and they get crossed over. And that happened in the previous public meeting. And so I don't know that having one single public meeting for both of these ordinances is appropriate.
Well-
Second her motion.
Okay. All right. No discussion on that. So.
well, if I can interject this, if time doesn't allow for it, you could always reschedule the meeting to a later, to a later date on the second ordinance. So,
Yeah.
so
Well-
if the first one takes up a lot of time
The public became unclear about which we were talking about.
Well,
And
it-
Mayor, I have to say that at the last meeting, excuse me, I think it did kind of get muddled a bit. So there's a way we can kind of make a line of delineation between the two.
Well, okay, let's have a vote on this and then we can talk about the public hearing.
Well, the November 15th is not during a council meeting.
Correct.
There's no time limit on this.
There is no time limit. And at the last one, I tried to say, we're going to talk about this one first and then that one. It did get a little muddled. I think we did a fairly okay job, but there were times where it crossed. I guess at this public hearing though, we don't have council rules on the public hearing. And so this is where I'm gonna say, it'll be up to council how it runs. In other municipalities I'm in, public hearings before council it is the opportunity for council to listen, and there is no engagement back from council. If this council wishes to engage, then you start getting where it gets mixed in. So my plan for this combined hearing would be to do like we did the last time, and okay, we're going to discuss this ordinance first. Everybody that wants to talk on it, have 2 sign-in sheets like we did the last time. Come up, talk on this one, and then we move on to the next one. What you guys decide to do is your choice. If you start to question and answer, then it could get jumbled. Though I think at the last meeting we had, I asked if anybody had questions and we went off that way. And then I tried to keep them separate. So I think we can do them because it's not a council meeting night. We did that on purpose because I knew these could run long and be well attended. And we needed the space. So, there is no time limit, but as far as how they get muddled back and forth, I'm going to put the onus on you guys and ladies for that about is and maybe that's something for rules to look at in the future, is public hearing council rules. How do you guys want your public hearings to run? Are they a question and answer debate period, or are they an opportunity for you to listen to what residents have, and then you process it and come back to council and discuss and vote accordingly? So I'd still like to try to get them both in on the 15th.
And if you can't, republish
Mhm.
on the second one and have a separate hearing.
Yep.
A separate public hearing.
Yep.
There's nothing to prevent that, but it have to be published.
Yeah.
Have to give notice, so.
Yep.
On a public hearing, you ought to talk about, maybe you ought to post it, which ordinance you got to talk about first. That way,
Sure.
Mhm.
I'll put people affects on the first one. They're
Absolutely.
going
Have
to
an
talk and
agenda.
then the next one.
Well, and maybe somebody wants to speak on one of them, but doesn't care about the other one at all.
Mhm.
So, and maybe they don't want to hang around for the other one, so.
Did we ever take a vote on this, Brian?
No.
No? Okay, so Brian, take a roll call on tabling 2021-25. Motion
Yep.
by McCreary, second by Keller.
Okay. Foreman,
I said yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
oh, Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
All right, 2021-25 will be tabled. Again, we'll go both, and like Jeff said, if one runs long and we get tired and want to get out of there, we'll close the public hearing and republish and reschedule for the other ordinance. November 15th. Brandy, what time? Do we set those at 7?
Yes.
So November 15th at 7 PM upstairs in the Opera House, so we got plenty of room. All
Third
right.
floor? Are we going to the main? I'm gonna make sure too, they don't have.
Auditorium, I already cleared it with Steve.
Okay.
All right. Any old business?
I do. I want Jeff to look into this. What was order on that on the ordinance 2021-24, when it was 3-2 vote? Wade's not here, so his vote is not counted. So why did it fail?
Because council rules provide that 4 members of council constitute a majority.
Oh, okay,
And
you gotta have 4 yes.
You need a majority in order to pass a motion.
If you
Why?
have
'Cause I know-
6, then the mayor can break it down.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I've seen a 3-3 tie.
That's different
That's different.
because he can break that, but it's not a tie, it's 3-2. And council rules provide that a majority is.
Okay.
So it's a majority of all of council, not a majority of those present.
Because I know we had tied before and
Yeah,
I thought,
yeah, but it wasn't a tie.
no, I know, I have a 3-2.
Good question.
Mhm.
All right. Any other old business?
I have a question, Mayor.
Yeah.
Evidently, I was asleep 2 weeks ago here. When Bob made the motion to reopen the section in Canal Street that's one way.
Mhm.
And I didn't say anything tonight yet because of advice past minutes. I've talked to 3 or 4 of the neighbors down there and they're not happy if it goes back. So is there anything we can do about that?
You can always amend it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
that's why I
it's,
said we're gonna have a safety meeting
Yeah.
before we get to the last reading on it. So if we're gonna amend it, we can amend it that night to make it one way, the other way. Or leave it
We discussed both.
as is, so.
Yeah, I know we discussed both last time, and I thought, I went home and I thought about it. Talked to a couple of people, and they're happy with the way it is,
The way it is.
Not turning it around.
not turning it around. Turning it around, they just think it's gonna shoot more people up that way to bypass the light. Because they come that way anyway, but 7:30 in the morning, there's at least 3 cars that come up through there. It's just, and I don't know why they want to go up High Street. I would rather go on down and come up on Factory Street where you can see.
and refresh my memory, is that the road that is improperly marked?
That is correct, Jeff. That's what I was going to bring up. even if we don't rescind it to go back to a two-way, we have to do something because the way it is now is not the way the ordinance specifies it should be.
It's posted incorrectly,
That is correct.
according to the ordinance.
Which that I would agree with, and I always wondered why we did why it got that way.
Who
So-
knows, Rick?
Even if it doesn't go back, if it doesn't revert to two-way, it's going to flip to one way the other way.
That's correct.
To conform with what was previously passed.
Right.
Oh, really?
So some action's gonna happen no matter what.
That's not.
So it's actually supposed to be one way, the way that the neighbors don't want to go.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, when you say neighbors, I don't know which neighbors he's talking about. It's not me. But, yeah,
I just asked the
well-
ones that was on that side.
Tell
Well, we were talking about this for safety reasons.
yes,
Yes.
because that whole
Pull
section
out.
is dangerous pulling out there. It's so blind. You can't see
Two ways.
from the bank, you can't see
Right, right.
So make sure, Mike, you get them
to show up for safety.
to show up for safety, get them the Zoom stuff so we can conference them in, put them up on the screen so they can share their concerns.
Yeah, we just make this kill up and then it'd be one way the other way, just where it was. Supposed to be.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
All right. Any other old business? Any new business? Trick or treats on the agenda, but I already talked about that.
Mayor, I wanted to bring something up. I keep my phone silenced during the meeting, and I just noticed that the chief did text me at 6:30 tonight to say that he was ill and would be unable to attend council meeting. So I just wanted everyone to know that he did notify me.
Okay. I figured
Sorry
it was.
about
All right. Debbie, got anything for visitors?
Yeah, I think I would just like to go back when you talked about the Tim Ryan visit. I wanted to let everybody know that we did create a little bit of excitement in the heart of Baltimore at 2:00 that day. I think my head was spinning, but it seems like there was an awful lot of traffic and parking going out in front of the Opera House. We had a very good crowd there. We went to Lancaster for a couple of events after that, but he asked me to pass on to everyone that he's very, very pleased with his visit to the mayor and the meet and greet that he had upstairs. And Mayor, I have his cell phone number too, so I'm a backup for you if, when you need to get a hold of him.
Until he changes it.
Yeah, until it changes it.
And I meant to say earlier, nice article in the Gazette.
Yeah.
With
Eagle Gazette did a great job.
Sometimes it helps. Barrett grew up around here, so
Okay.
sometimes it helps. So, all right. She was the only visitor on. We're at last call. I'll just say it's Fair Week, and there are a lot of Baltimore students and residents that have stuff out there. So if you get the fair, look around, give them a high five. They started showing actually yesterday. So, and if anybody needs me on Wednesday or Thursday this week, I'll be at the Rabbit Barn all day, every day, because Hallie's got 7 rabbits in the show this year. So
She gonna sell
yes, we'll have 4, hopefully good enough for auction.
them? She can handle that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
some
no.
kids can't,
Oh, I
so,
No.
know, I believe
you know.
it.
The last 4 that we didn't sell, she couldn't wait to dispose of them.
Okay.
Well,
gee.
yeah, one of them had the name Jerk and the other had the name A-hole.
Oh.
She was ready to get rid of them.
Wow. All right.
Yep. So, yeah, not a problem getting rid of them. In fact, as soon as they said, do you want to sell them? She was like, yes, I don't want them back. But no, there's a lot of kids work a lot of hard stuff, and all the summer projects are up in the barn too from the kids over the summer that don't do animals. So stop in, say hey. They work hard, so should be appreciated. So anybody else have any last call? If not, our next meeting is October 25th at 7:30. And is there a motion to adjourn?
Mayor, I would like to motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 8:23.
Brian, are you still on?
Yes.
Okay.